Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Robert Schmid, also known as Mr. IoT. I am the Chief IoT Technologist for Deloitte with a deep passion for all things digital. This week on Coffee with Mr. IoT, I'm super excited to introduce to you Heather Figallo from Southwest Airlines. She leads innovation there, and she happens to be my client. So we get to spend a whole lot of time together, which is great. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks
How
for
are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much.
Heather, tell us a little bit. I can't do it justice what you do at Southwest, and what's your role? What do you do there? Just give us a little bit of an intro. Besides being an awesome client to me, what else?
Well, thank you for that. And well, okay, so here's what I do at Southwest. I started here about 3 years ago. And even though Southwest is known for being such an innovative organization, they never had a department that was just solely focused on innovation. So they recognized that with all of the new emerging technologies, all of the new trends, there's way too much to vet without a real focused discipline and that sort of thing. So initially I came in on the commercial side of the business in the marketing group. And then about maybe 9 months ago, moved over into a more agnostic area that is corporate strategy and innovation to kind of span across all areas of the company. It's been really fun because Southwest does have this sort of part of their DNA is innovation. And so everybody is really happy to, embrace what we're doing and excited about wanting to change and always be better. So we have 3 things that we do in our group. We inspire the organization to support each other and be advocates. We direct the work. So we have a very prescriptive discipline that we follow around vetting ideas so that we can find the best ideas and commercialize them. And then we accelerate. So we are, by design, supposed to put the pressure on the organization to move faster. So those are my 3 things I spend all day doing.
That sounds like awesome. If I looked at your sweatshirt, does that say "Be Bold"? Did I see that right? Yes. Is that a Southwest sweatshirt?
Yeah, it's my. It's my yeah, that was one of our a couple of years ago. That was one of the sort of internal sort of calls to action, was to just be bold and move forward and not be afraid to make a little bit of a misstep if you're just trying something new.
You guys have the best swag, I gotta say. I've worked at Activision, right? And Activision has some pretty awesome swag. When you come in the morning and there's a new game sitting on your desk, that's pretty awesome. But I mean, you guys have some awesome swag. I gotta ask you, we didn't prep for this, but it just occurred to me. You guys got this heart and this love sign everywhere. How did that come about? How did you guys come up with the heart and the whole love thing?
So I wasn't here when the whole branding exercise happened, the rebranding with the heart logo, but I can tell you that it's really born out of one of our previous presidents, Colleen Barrett, who really has just been such a part of Southwest Airlines. She's still here every single day. And we actually have an area of the corporate office that's the Queen of Hearts Culture Center, and that's referring to Colleen. So she's always believed in being the love airline. She's always heart as part of the lockup. She was really, I know that she really wanted to amplify that, and you'll find that heart like on the belly of all of our planes now. That have the new branding. So it's an important part of who we are and what we stand for, just putting people first and following the golden rule.
I gotta tell you, it touches my heart when a company has the heart and love as part of the theme, and you feel it when you walk through your building. I mean, it's sort of like I'm new there, right? And I walk through and still people say hi to you in the hallway. It's a really good environment. How do you get a job like this, Heather? I mean, you've been there 3 years, but lots of people have been there for a long time and you're new, but everybody dreams about having a job where you can just think about new things, innovative things, and make them happen and accelerate them. How do you get some job like this?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know if it was just sheer intestinal fortitude or luck or a combination. It's, from what I've heard, I think it was something like 5,500 people or something applied for this role. And it took about 11 months. I interviewed for almost a year. And I think I just never gave up, and I really wanted it. And I actually immersed myself in the Southwest culture and understanding the company and airlines and whatnot while I was going through that process. Before I was here, I was always in the agency world or consulting world, and I loved travel. But, you know, I think it was just a combination of luck and never giving up and, you know, having the right experience for what they were looking for. Somebody that had been exposed to a lot of different brands, had been exposed to a lot of different technologies, had a kind of consulting slash, you know, agency way of working. It's like a little bit more fast paced. So, I don't know, but I love it. I swear, I am always, whenever I start talking about my job, I'm like, I have the best job. For sure, I have the best job in Dallas. Probably the best job in the airline industry, you know, if not bigger.
That's awesome. 5,400 people applied for your job. That's quite the acumen for you, so congratulations. So we have a show that's called Coffee with Mr. By the way, if you're just joining, welcome. This is Coffee with Mr. IoT, and today we have Heather Figallo, the Senior Director of Innovation from Southwest Airlines with us. You talk about tech changes and so forth. I'm curious, when you think of innovation, what technology changes are you seeing impacting what you do, what airlines do, what goes on at airports? Just give us a little bit your view of, you know, I talk about tech all the time. I want to hear from your point of view.
Well, I feel like, you know, there's something in just the connectedness of not just things, which I'm, you know, Internet of Things, but to me, it's more about people and the connections between people and how much that can change and impact the world. You know, I love there's a study, and I've seen several different kind of experiments around the proximity of people physically, and that they're more willing to help someone close by than far away. And the thing I love about this day and age and technology and connections and social media and all those things is the world has become such a smaller place. You know, you're just one click away from anybody, anywhere in the world. And I think that's so cool, right? You know, there's so many generations before us that maybe wouldn't have been able to move such a distance because you'd totally lose touch with your family and friends and whatnot, or you wouldn't be aware of things on the other side of the world. So I just love the time that we're in, where it's sort of this open book to everything that's happening and everybody. And I just think it's a really amazing time to live through the change when we all become more connected. And I hope that it all, at the end of the day, is used for good, and it's all used for really positive intent and to make the world a better place. That's one of the reasons I wanted to work on a big brand, actually, was so to really get focused, you know, with a big customer base and try and move things forward with positive intent. And I knew that Southwest value system was there.
Got it. Very interesting. So what do you think about the Internet of Things? I mean, be specific, and let me be a little self-serving here. How is that impacting your innovation?
Well, I tell you, I love it, right? I think it's really fun. You know, I think it's really scary to people that are, you know, not as comfortable in the kind of connected space. And, you know, I think that there are a lot of things that, you know, maybe people could use or could think of in a paranoid or very negative way. And I feel like we always have to, you know, one of the things I'm always working towards with this Internet of Things is understanding sort of like the risks that are associated with knowing where all these things are or not knowing where all these things or people are. And, you know, there's a great responsibility that comes with all of that knowledge. And so I spend a lot of time working with folks here to help them understand, you know, this isn't really that much different. It's information that you could have gotten. It just would have been really difficult. So, you know, it's not that different from what you know today. It's just the information is much more accessible and much easier to get at. So I think it's, you know, it's a great opportunity from a lot of different business angles, whether it's to be more effective, to be more efficient, to provide better service and all of those kind of things. What we're balancing that with is making sure that we don't go either too far, so that just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? And so it's like you kind of get on the train and oh, we could track this and this and this. You want to track more and more. So making sure that we're not going too far, and then also making sure that we are looking at everything as a 360 view, and being very diligent around privacy and around information on assets and that kind of stuff. So it's as exciting as it is, it's also a little it's something you have to be careful with, right? And you could don't want it to go to a dark place, whether it's too far down in analytics or whether it's, maybe having some information that people wouldn't be comfortable with. So we're balancing it all.
Yeah, I call it, when I talk about it, the creep factor, right? How creepy you want to be, right? And so one of the things, you do this all the time, and I actually happen to know where you are, so I'm going to ask you in a second, where are you? But knowing where you are, one of the things you do is you meet with people, right? And you actually try things out and see what's sort of like what's helping and what's getting too much, right? So where are you actually right now?
Okay, so I am I am in our little warehouse where we mock up and test things, and everything we have. I'm looking right now. I doubt you would be able to see it because it's white on white, but we have beacons dangling from the ceiling on strings, and we have all sorts of different fake sort of airport setups and things like that. So, we've had folks from our mutual teams running around this room, tracking them with beacons and understanding, movement patterns of everything from people to luggage to devices and whatnot. We have the seats. So this is like my little test spot.
I mean, I really don't want to ask for what I want to see. I want you to pick what you can show us.
Well, yeah, I know there's not a lot I can show, but here's my seats where we test all different sorts of airplane, seats. And, I had a couple of folks from my team and I, when we were rolling out the new seats, we sat in them ourselves, for 4 hours. They made me have the middle seat. So we're sitting in here and just working, and
you really got the middle seat between Kevin and
yes. They made me sit in the middle because I'm short, so yeah. So this is our little
sort about the new seats. What's different about them? Are they already rolled out? Are they in planes already?
Yeah. These are the ones they rolled out. Oh gosh, I want to say maybe about 12 or 18 months ago, and we were the first ones to put them into the planes, but they're much slimmer. They are wider, so they have a little bit over a half an inch wider in the seat, and then the shape of the bottom of the frame is like, instead of being an L, it's like a C, so you have more shin room. So, and they have a headrest, so they're just a lot more comfortable. Yeah, but I spent a lot of time in those seats, and that's like one of the things that we would do over here in our little sort of playground.
So I don't know what you can say. Maybe the answer is nothing, and that's okay too. But is there some teaser that you can give us that's actually already known, but not everybody knows yet? What's coming that you've worked on that's really exciting?
Well, what I think that we're doing that's most exciting that I can share is, the heart of Southwest is really about taking great care of our employees. And when we take great care of our employees, they take great care of our customers. So a lot of the IoT type work that we're doing is actually to benefit our employees from a day-to-day basis, so that they can just do a better job and provide better service to our customers. So I think a lot of the things that we're going to do are behind the scenes. Customers may not see it as much, but they may notice just a higher level of service, or maybe, things become more reliable, or we're able to keep things more low cost by doing some of this sort of tracking and information sharing inside the operation, right? And so I think the first place that we're really going to, who we really want to help the most, are our employees, so that they can provide better service at the end of the day. Not so sure that customers will see anything right off the bat, but just, being better.
Got it. That's super interesting. I have to say, one of the reasons I love flying Southwest is because those thin flight attendants are the nicest and the most fun flight attendants you'll ever have. And it's sort of, when you travel so much as I do, there's something about when you hang out with people that are nice to hang out with, you enjoy hanging out with, right? And it makes that travel so much better. So it's great that you continue to give them more and better info to be more helpful. What is it like to innovate at Southwest? You've been there now 3 years. What are the things that you find sort of like are similar to other places you've been before? What's different? Sort of give us an insight into your innovation journey around that, and what sort of, how does that feel for you?
So one of my favorite sort of innovation stories that I've had and experienced since I've been here was I started having hackathons and workshops for people to really start, prototyping and being able to deliver little objects or whatever for testing. So can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, sorry. So what I did was I hosted this hackathon, and most of the most senior folks attended the final day. And this was on a Friday afternoon. So one of our senior vice presidents attended the session, and afterwards he emailed me and said, I need to see you from 8 to 8:15 on Monday morning. So I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? I had been here like 3 months. And so I went to his office. Of course, I stressed out all weekend. I went to his office on Monday morning, tapped on the door and said, can I, is this still a good time? Can I come in? And he said, yeah. And he had mentioned the hackathon from the previous week. And he said, I want to talk to you about why you'll never be able to do innovation at Southwest Airlines. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. And he said, it's me. And he said that he had been the person that held some of the standards so tight from a performance standpoint that he felt like he was the reason that people were afraid to try things in a new way, because he was holding them to such a diligent performance standard. And so it was probably one of the best conversations I've had in my career, and just a demonstration of what great support leadership has for innovation here. And he said, it won't be many years before I retire, and I want my legacy to be that I was a person that supported innovation and kept Southwest Airlines relevant. So I want you to help me do that. And it was just like one of the greatest kind of professional conversations I've ever had. And so I said, well, I can do that in 60 seconds. And he said, okay, do it. And I said, stop talking about how we're going to change and just talk about how we've changed. It's already happened. We've changed. And he said, okay. So like little nuance in the language. And he's probably been, we host tons of hackathons. We have tons of events to generate ideas. And, he's attended every single one since that day. And he's just been one of the biggest supporters, from a really high level leadership standpoint, and always willing to try something new, in a responsible way and in a smart way, but just very open-minded. And it really, to me, those folks that have been here for all those, 35 years and more are still open to brand new ideas and still open to doing things in a totally different way. One of the things that's scary about being in an organization as great as Southwest and where we are in the industry is you don't want to break it.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, you have to be careful.
Well, and sometimes you need to break some things, right? You don't really know. I mean, some things need to be broken, and it's hard to admit that too. So it's kind of like this balance, what you need to break and what can't.
That's right. That's right. Well, and there's so many things that, what we're finding is things to just like, you don't have to do that anymore. Right? That, that there's an easier way. And, I think anytime you implement something like this, that's just a real change in the tectonic plates, you have to look at everything that you're doing and say, so what does that mean we can stop doing? And what does that mean we can start doing? And how is our method changing? And that's, it's hard.
I have to, one of the things, when I talk about different IoT use cases, right? One of the slides I have and sometimes show is, the IoT things you shouldn't do. Like the things that are too far out there, the IoT fails, or sort of like the big things that people chuckle at. So I'm wondering, in your hackathons, give me one thing that you chuckled at and it's not going to happen, so you can talk about it. But it was sort of like, don't call it a fail, but sort of like one of those things was like, yeah, okay, that might not work, but it was really fun to hear it.
Well, there's a couple, I can think of a couple that were just, just so crazy it might or might not work. Well, one thing we did, just a recent fail that we had, it wasn't an idea out of a hackathon, but we, started working with a whole bunch of beacons, and we found out it was literally 100% inaccurate. They were like accurately inaccurate. They were not tracking anything. Literally 100% of the data that came back was wrong. Yes. And so it was
Stabbed me hard. I sort of heard about this slide, but not involved.
Yeah, but we turned it, we turned that into one of our, hey, everybody's been saying fail fast. Everybody's been saying, it's okay to make mistakes. Well, we made one. Here it is. We have 100% inaccurate. Our beacons are accurately inaccurate. And so that was a funny one. And then we've had some funny ideas around, like very mechanical type of things. It's like, how could we move bags faster? And, we had some guys that actually came out of the hangar and fabricated a different way to move bags. And, all the folks that had been doing that for a while looked at it and no, it's not going to happen. But they invented something and it was fun.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's funny. By the way, we have beacons now that are actually accurate. Just want to say that.
That's true. We did find accurate beacons.
This is the time when people go and say, why don't they mention more names? And why don't they be more specific? And they're like, yeah, call me. Or call him up. Anyhow. So what haven't I asked you? I always love this sort of like, I think I ask questions and then I'm sort of like, what didn't I ask you that you want to talk about? Give us a little bit something else.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that I have been talking about as far as the work that we're doing, there's a couple of things. One is all of the innovation and Internet of Things and the changes in the way that we understand our customers and our employees is, we have a real focus here on using all of those technologies to be more human. So, it's very easy to take all of those technologies and think about being, maybe less face-to-face with people or less opportunity to interact. And the way that we're thinking about it is leveraging those tools to do the things that a computer can do so that we can unlock time and knowledge for people to actually interact with people more. And so I would encourage organizations and folks that are looking at all of these technologies to really think about how you could use them to create a more personal experience, to create a more human one-on-one experience, and not to just think about, streamlining everything to the point of not having people be part of the overall solution. So that's a big area of focus for us, is not only what kind of transactional, maybe low value tasks can this take away, and then what really high value tasks can this amplify or make better. And so I just think that's a really sort of purposeful way of thinking about how to use these technologies to make us, sometimes I say we're so retro, we're progressive, because we do things that are very outdated. We still write each other handwritten notes here and that sort of thing. But I don't think there's anything that is digital that will ever replace really just a handwritten note from someone. So it's like, what are all the things that you can do to clear up some more time to make a personal connection? Thinking about a lot of leveraging these technologies to clear the air, to do more sort of human and service oriented. So that's important to me.
Heather, thank you so much. This was a great 25 minutes for me. I was sitting here thinking all the things that I learned, starting from, don't do anything creepy, try it out with your customers, back office stuff, take the time you gain from automating by giving it back to human interaction. And, at the end of the day, I admire for how you really care about the some interaction. You know, so often things go about this is easier and that is easier rather than making time for talking to each other. But the one thing I'm going to take with me is I'm going to walk right out of here and I'm going to write someone a handwritten note. So thank you for that. Thank you, Heather, for the time. I wasn't joking, by the way. I was serious. I love that whole comment about handwritten notes, and it's so true. So thank you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for your help. Bye-bye.
Now, hang on. I just want to say one more thing. If you want to watch Heather and I to go to YouTube, you can, if you didn't see the whole show, it's going to be on YouTube. And I'll be back next Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, for another Coffee with Mr. IoT. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.